So what happened at Camp David between March 6th, March 8th, 1981? Reagan had appointed his dear friend, William Casey, to be the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, and he is conducting this briefing. There are other agents that are identified, NSA, CIA, DIA, NRO, and then by numbers, and then as other names, caretaker of the information. And Reagan comes across, as he did in life, charming, more intelligent than you would think, asking very good questions, but completely out of it. And as they start slowly taking him over these 3 days into a briefing which is introducing the president to something he didn't know, they show him and tell him that there are 5 different extraterrestrial groups that our government currently is aware of, studies, works with, and they want to lay them out to Ronald Reagan, who is astonished that they even have names. Mm-hmm. And at the top of the group of 5 is Arcaloid. And the Arcaloid is described as having an extremely large nose, vertical pupilled eyes, a domed head, and as far as the rest of us are concerned, the description that they are making is of the Anunnaki type. Mm-hmm. They had a rod that was a translator rod, sphere, think about royalty, spheres and rods through time that were actually extraterrestrial technology that humans would then mimic, but didn't put the two together. The Arcaloid are defined as a rapid cycle cloned being. Where have we heard this? The resurrection technology from my 1998 book, Glimpses of Other Realities, volumes 1 and 2, get into all of the abductees who have been introduced to a tube technology where they are shown clones of themselves, clones of others, and it's called rapid cycle cloning. Okay. So now Reagan is being introduced in 1981 to rapid cycle cloning of the Arcaloids. Well, who are the Arcaloids made by? The top of the list, extraterrestrial, biological entities, the grays with the pear-shaped heads. Okay, so now they're on top as a prime intelligence. They make the Arcaloids with rapid cycle cloning. The next on the list underneath the Arcaloids were another group, and they are defined as being made by the Ebens. That means out of 5 groups that are going to be introduced to President Reagan, 3, these 2, and they're the maker that made these, 3 of them are all related to the extraterrestrial biological entities. The 4th is called Heplaloid. I've tried to find Hepla in, I believe it was Aramaic or Greek, can mean 7. But I do not know whether that's 7 feet tall. Could be that they are the tall whites, which is another very distinct category, humanoid, extreme 7 to 8 feet, maybe 10 to 14 feet is what the Anunnaki were supposed to be, tall, white skin. It's the 5th category, Trantaloid, Trantaloid. They've gone through these other categories, and they said, and there is a 5th category, Mr. President. The Trantaloids, and they apparently show him a photo, and it says in the transcript, Reagan says, wow, you notice that in a crowd of humans. And they say it is an insect. And they call it a hostile alien visitor, HAVs. And they say, Mr. President, this is a very insidious type. This is the one that we worry about, because they camouflage themselves on this planet as blonde human beings. And Reagan has an explosive reaction to this and said, well, I need to know more. Do we need to go to war? What do we need to do? And the CIA director and the others say, we have plans for all eventual possibilities, without explaining what that means. They go on to say that the Trontoloid insect beings are at least 1,000 years more advanced than we are. That they come from a system, meaning not in our Milky Way galaxy necessarily, and not from someplace maybe that we would recognize, but it may, and this is where it gets confusing, it may be in the star group of some 39 stars in this arm of the galaxy that all have yellow suns or cooler suns. And there have been different identifications that this may be from one of these closer star systems, or it may be far apart, so it's not clear. But wherever they come from, it is supposed to have elements that we have been able to confirm do not exist anywhere on Earth. And that they have technologies that can neutralize gravity and do all of these things, and they're very advanced.
Okay.
So why are they camouflaging themselves on Earth as blonde humans? Jump cut to World War II.
Yes.
Adolf Hitler, obsessed with saying that he was going to war with the world in order to put blonde, white-skinned, blonde Aryans in charge of this planet. Well, it's been suggested by many, many people that there is a direct link between whatever these Trontoloids are and what happened in World War II. And you can see how distasteful these subjects, when you begin to talk about them in their rawness, how distasteful they are. And you can see if 5,000 years ago, all of this was occurring on this planet when humans were completely out of it, didn't know anything, and were getting down in their knees to extraterrestrials as gods when they weren't, that today, the human family versus Ebens, Archeloids, Trontoloids, Hepaloids, and so forth. If we are not told the truth by governments and lots of secret societies that have known all of this for a very long time and decided that it was to their benefit to keep the power of this knowledge to the 1% that has run this planet for 5,000 years.
Yeah.
In a way, if we could get the "We are not alone in the universe" headline out in 2017, it would be almost like a cheer of liberation for those of us who have more knowledge. Because essentially, Homo sapien sapien on Earth has been played unmercifully, manipulated unmercifully. We are this divided, warring species because of manipulations by something that is trying to accomplish something in all of this experimentation on Earth. And to me, that makes me angry enough, gives me energy enough to keep going with, what are we really in a universe that is confusing in the hints of other dimensions, the ability to move point to point, when we are on a planet where the only way we've been allowed to move is through Euclidean geometry, walking our machines that must go distances, and that we in the 21st century, if we survive ourselves, for which I feel sadness because I think that the complete and total abuse of the planet could have been prevented if humans long ago have been told the truth, that we are somebody else's androids, that Fort said we're property. We are somebody else's perceived property. But if there is a divine field, I think this divine field has made it very clear. We may be somebody's property in these bodies, but we're not their property in our souls.
Okay.
And that seems to me to be where the rubber hits the road in terms of who gets in and out of this universe, and maybe some don't. The impression I have gotten from people who have worked in the government, it's not in the interests of the non-humans. Secrecy has always protected the non-humans because mutilations and the harvesting for genetic material, that's been something they've been doing for thousands and thousands of years. And humans have been completely dumb and blind about any. The Neanderthal could never have conceived genetic manipulation. Early Cro-Magnon Homo sapien sapien could never have conceived genetic manipulation. So we're only sophisticated enough now in the 21st century to finally be on a planet in which this whole thing could be presented if they would tell the truth. At a fundamental level, it doesn't matter whether people can handle it, because if the sky fills with craft, if there is a war of the skies, if that happens first before there is a declaration we're not alone in the universe and we're going to do some kind of truth with our fellow human beings, if that doesn't happen, the shock to the human system to be waked up to this by non-humans, whether they're at war or whatever, that to me, that would be cruel. We've got to start telling the truth. Governments have got to start telling the truth. When the androids, Homo sapien sapien, begin to stand on their own 2 feet, stand up to reptiles, grays, and blondes, and say, look, you made us, but we are the surface life on this planet, even if you're inside. And we have as much right to go up to this moon as you do. Something like that would have to be happening for things to change geopolitically, and also Mars and throughout the solar system. And how could that happen? Well, the remote viewers, who I really do think have substantial reason to be listened to, they say, throughout all of this complexity, what we have learned is that humans, Homo sapien sapien, really do have allies who actually care about whether we survive or not. They, as Lynn Buchanan said, we would not be here if there were not a few allies that are really strong and they have helped us. Now, that is the fundamental philosophical and geopolitical question going forward for the rest of the 21st century. With or without the big headlines, we're not alone in this universe. The truth, the facts, to all of us who have gotten, we all have the same inside information. There are territorial conflicts over the moon, Mars, this solar system, throughout this galaxy. Those territorial conflicts are going to be there whether we have consciousness or not. Why is it so important for humanity to be told the truth? because we've been kept alive by allies. The remote viewer Lynn Buchanan said, but what is not known is, are the allies always going to be strong enough to fend off the hostiles? Mm-hmm. We can't have the human family be in a position where we're on Earth and denied going through the solar system and the moon, which obviously this is changing. We are doing this. We can't be forever denied the truth about what we are, somebody else's androids, who are becoming free and declaring liberation and moving out because of other allies who know exactly what we are and have chosen to say, we will side with you. We will try to protect you. That's happening. And with humans finally being put on one of these levels where the playing field starts being leveled out and being told, here are what the hostiles look like and sound like, and this is why they're hostile. Here are the allies, that they really are our allies, and you all need to know this, and you all need to know this. And when either one of them show up on this planet, you won't be so shocked. And that's why I do the work I do.